Yeah, that's a cool squeak, huh? Seatbelt. Yeah. Your passenger today. We got to go for a drive to go take care of one of those fall projects and get it done. No time to get out and go enjoy a nice hike, so we'll cover a little stretch of history of some mining districts. We are currently pulling out of Ouray, Colorado, headed up Red Mountain Pass, what has been deemed and named the $1 Million Highway. Some of this may just be you riding along, listening to me ramble about nothing, or sitting quietly in silence. But we'll start off with the history of it, right after we get past a bicyclist. So in 1883, a man named Otto Mears, a very shrewd and smart businessman, knew there was easier ways to get the gold out of these mountains than to go out and break his back busting the rock and getting the gold out of it. He knew that miners needed things, and if you gave the miners the things they needed, you could get the gold without going out and digging it. So in the early 1880s, the Red Mountain Mining District was experiencing a heck of a boom. And there was no good maintained way of getting the gold ore off the mountain down to the town of Ouray, or on down to Ridgeway where there was railroads to take it. Actually, the railroads came clear to Ouray. That was a dumb comment I just made, but more on railroads in a couple weeks. So this man, Otto Mears, came up here on Red Mountain and improved a road and turned it into a toll road. Opened it in 1883. As you can see, there's not much of a road even these days, so in the late 1800s, for wagons and men and people on horseback, to have an improved road was a great thing. Truly is a beautiful piece of countryside for clear up in the mountains. So from 1883 until 1920, Otto Mears operated the toll road up here, with the toll gate being up here just a little ways at the bridge to Bear Creek Falls. As you can probably see, Bear Creek Trailhead 800 feet. Bear Creek Falls is just beyond that. We'll be there in a second. You'll see why he decided to put his toll bridge at that location. There was no getting up his road without paying his toll from that point on. This is the bridge today. Back in that day, it was a one-lane little thing that got you across that canyon right there. It's only about 300 feet to the bottom of that from the bridge. So, yeah, no way to get around his toll road. If that's where you wanted to go, that's what you paid. somewhere around 1910, they say 1910 to 1912. Some of the first internal combustion engine cars were driven up this road. They say there was a lot of need for improvement to make it kind of a highway or a road, but that would come a little later. But somewhere in the 1920s, the Colorado Department of Transportation took this over. And at that point, they called it the $1 Million Highway, because it took about $1 million to convert it into a bit of a highway that you could actually put vehicles on and drive over. I did the math and looked that up. In 1920s money, $1 million is equivalent to just over $16 million today. So if we were to do this today, it'd be a little over $16 million to take it over and turn it into a highway. I guarantee there's more money put into this road than that at this point. There's been a lot of stretches that have been widened, because as you just seen there at Ruby Walls, they call it, it's a little skinny in a couple spots. The edge of the road is the edge of the road, and there isn't any room to put a guardrail in that thing. It is what you got, and that's what you get to have. I'm not one for running the high country trails. This is one of those trailheads that a lot of guys like to get off on and go run high country trails. Not my thing. I'd rather be out in the desert playing in the sandstone, but can't be there today, so here we are making this little trip. So yeah, 1920s, became part of US Highway 550. Colorado Department of Transportation took it over, and this is what we've got. Like I say, vast improvements have been made over the years. There's well over $1 million in this road at this point. I would almost think it's probably $1 million just to keep this thing open year round. Which, in honesty, it is open year round, unless an avalanche or a massive rock fall comes down, which, a little rock in the road today. Not surprised. It's been awful wet in this country the last couple weeks. When the water starts coming into this rock, some of it starts coming down. We'll sit back and just ride quietly until we get up here to Ironton Park, and what pretty much was the town of Ironton at one point. Actually, in my younger days, I was helping with a towing company. Semi trucks tended to run this a lot more back then. It's gotten to a point now, a lot of companies will route their trucks around this mountain so they don't have to deal with it. Especially in the wintertime. We'll get up to 6 feet, 7 feet. Shoot, maybe even 8 feet of snow up here in different places. What we're staring at right now is the snow tunnel. That was built because that is one heavy avalanche area that kept closing this highway a lot in the wintertime. So instead of having to fight the avalanche completely, a little of it will fall on this side. We built this cool little tunnel. And we might have a little avalanche to clean up on that side, but it keeps the highway open more. Another one of those projects that was done that probably cost well over $1 million when it was finally said and done there. But anyway, with the tow truck company, I was up here a lot in the wintertime, pulling trucks out. A set of switchbacks right here one night. I came up and actually pulled out 3 trucks and got them all back up moving again. And it was caused by one guy not understanding that you should put your chains on before you get stuck. The other 2 guys were local drivers that ran it all the time, and they had their chains on. I just had to give them a little pull to get them started and going over the mountain again. As you can see, the colors are starting to change up here, but fall's coming and the winter projects are stacking up. Well, fall projects that got to be done before winter are stacking up. And now, a view of Red Mountain. Named it appropriately. That's right here. The old church for the town of Ironton. This nice little valley up here, halfway up the mountain, little town of Ironton became a happening place during the mining times. Scattered all through this area, one mine shaft after another after another. Guys down below were in the creeks here, running out sluice boxes, panning for gold, trying to get rich themselves. Why others took the time to go ahead and dig into the rock and chase the vein. This stretch of the Rocky Mountains actually branch. The San Juan Mountains actually runs more of a east-west line instead of a north-south as the general Rocky Mountains run. It's also some of the very youngest of the Rocky Mountains there is. This was a volcanic uplift very late in geologic time that created the San Juan Mountains. I don't know how much can be seen off of what you guys are looking at, but old mining buildings are starting to show up on the sides of the road. Just dotting the landscape out here. One mine after another. Somebody's dream of being rich that got lost and never panned out, never made them rich. mean, I guess we could run a mining series. We've already done a little bit. It's more of just hobby stuff I like to go enjoy. It is a bit a part of one of my fascinations and enjoyments. That's why this channel's here. Take you all along with me and go out and take you on adventures with my fascinations and enjoyments that I have. The short I put out today is just the last of the great things. History, mining, the old railroads. All of it in the desert Southwest. But the greatest joy comes from being out in the sandstones. Out in the wide open desert. For some reason, I just don't enjoy the dark timber and high peaks as much as I do the open desert. Maybe because it's that old saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. I feel closed in, boxed in. I'd rather be able to hit the rim of a canyon and take a view in that's miles and miles of view. When I am in the mountains up here, I do like that. It's where you always find me in the mountains, is at the very top. That way I can look out across it all. Yeah, old man ramblings, it's alright. More traffic up here today than I thought there might be. Oh well. No worries, no hurries. We just go get it done. Right around the next corner is the Eldorado mine. Before I post this, I'll figure out its dates of operations and put a couple facts in the little text notes on there. A couple of the old support buildings and housing for mine workers and superintendents. Probably can't see it off on the left side. Over here on my side is old tailings piles that have government's actually come through, done a pretty good job of reclaiming those. Drainage, concrete drainage canals to keep the water from running through them, and capping them with a nice soil and covering it in grass. But as you can see, tailings piles everywhere. One of my uncles actually spent some time working in this whole mine. Said it was a different experience. One time, this hill right in front of me. Came up here and picked up a semi that had rolled from the upper deck of the road down here onto this piece of road. Amazingly enough, the only thing that was really damaged on that semi truck was one stack, and one antenna got broke off. There was that much snow up here this year. That year. He got himself just a little bit too far to the edge, and it just rolled one complete time from the top layer down to the lower layer. These switchbacks up here have been widened immensely over the years. Immensely widened. Came up here one year too. It was summertime, so it was a lot nicer. There was a semi truck broke down on the other side. One of the kind of little local delivery single axle trucks. But he did have two 25-foot trailers hooked up behind him. So it is what they were called pulling doubles. So I came over here with the big semi-wrecker and hooked him on the other side of this. And I'll tell you what, I had to use the entire dang road to get through all these corners to get off the other side of the mountain and get him towed back into town. Maybe I ought to throw a note at the beginning of this video. You might want to throw yourself on some background music. I'm still figuring out all the copyright laws that I have to work within to keep this channel up and running. Here we are at the summit. 11,000 feet. Another one of those high country Jeep trails takes off right there. Actually takes you clear out and around and over the top and into Telluride. Don't honestly know, but I don't believe that Otto Mears and his toll road ever came clear over the top. I think this was something that the Colorado Department of Transportation put in to finish this road. I do have to say it is another beautiful piece of this country. we are down in the desert portion of the western slope of Colorado. To be able to be country like this and not a long drive either is a little different, a little amazing, a little shocking. The vast and great differences between them. Right here. Yep, it was right in this area right here where I picked up that set of doubles and drug them on over the mountain. Well, I think probably from about this point on, it's not a real exciting drive on down into Silverton. The fun and excitement of what Red Mountain Pass is pretty well come to an end at that. So I think we'll call out a video. Hopefully by next weekend we can get caught up enough that we can head back out into the desert and go see what we can find. Maybe more ancient ruins, maybe just some old homesteads. Maybe it's just a nice hike through the hills. So I'm gonna say until the next adventure, hope you all have a great week. And hopefully we'll see you next weekend with a new adventure.